So I was going to ask you, when you and Vicky first came to look at the Fairview house, did you think that front room there should be a studio, or was it something that developed after you moved here?
No, I did. I did think that actually. I was only saying to Jackie on the way here how, when you're looking for places, you look at a lot and you don't have a good feeling, and suddenly you get a good feeling. And Fairview, as soon as we saw it, I had this good feeling, and the fact it had the spare front room. I don't know why. It's probably a bit like the farmhouse where I lived on. It had a spare room at the front, which I took for my own, as it were. And yeah.
And what was the first thing you did to get the studio going? Did you already have some equipment then, or did you just start buying?
No, I had nothing really, apart from microphones which we had with the band. Didn't even have a decent recorder. It was just things I knew I would have to get, but the room was a start. You have to have the premises. And the first recording he did in there were with Basil Kirch, had his own recording equipment. He had a couple of Revox, old Revoxes, probably valve type, and a Farfisa organ. And I was mainly with Basil. I was playing the guitar a little bit and playing the keyboard a bit. I don't know whether Basil was letting me do that, just so I had a bit more involvement. Otherwise, it would just seem as though he was commandeering the room. We had a big fire going because we hadn't got any central heating. And after a while, the heat seemed to affect the Farfisa organ. It seemed to go out of tune, so we had to keep moving it. And really, that went on from the middle of 1965, when we moved there in the summertime, right up until nearly the end of the year, probably November, when Basil went back to London.
And what did you do in the way of soundproofing?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
No, we didn't. I put sound absorption. I put the traditional egg boxes on the ceiling, but I was going to rely on the fact that everything would be fairly close mics, so that I wasn't worried about sound going out particularly. Because it was mainly out the front room window and there was nothing, it was just looked out on the road, so it wasn't going to be too loud that way. A bit was going to go out the back window, which the neighbours might have got a bit of, but no, it wasn't given much thought on soundproofing at the time.
Because I remember, I've been asking people in this series of films what their first memories of Fairview are. My first memory of Fairview was coming, I reckon, 1968-69. My dad knew you because he demonstrated organs for Pat Cornell,
yeah.
And you were working at Pat. Were you still working at Pat Cornell's then?
Oh, no, up to about 66, 67. I was working at Pat Cornell. I worked there for 4 years, and about 2 of those years was when I was still living at Withensea, and then 2 years after we moved to Willoughby. But I used to come to your house to mend your father's organ.
Yes.
You were a little boy playing on the mat with your toys.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. I must have been, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I
suppose.
Younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be in about 63, something like that when I started. So how old were you then?
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And we by 68, 69. My sister and I and a friend had a folk group kind of thing going on. We did a lot of close harmony work, and my dad brought us down to the studio one night, and we just set up live, just 2 guitars and 3 voices, and you recorded it, and then you got us to do the vocals again, to double track them, and then you played it back because there was no room in the control room, was there, for people to go in and listen.
No.
So you played back in studios with some really nice reverb on it, and I remember being absolutely astonished at the way we sounded.
Yeah.
And I think we've got some white label pressings there, but I don't
Really?
think they exist anymore.
Blimey.
And by that time you'd got some, I think you'd bought some Neumann 87s. Have you by then?
I didn't think I got the Neumann till about 1970.
Oh, right, okay. I just seem to remember these huge microphones.
I mean, fairly soon after getting the room going, I did line it out with proper acoustic tiles and deadened it quite nicely.
Yeah.
And I built a drum booth in the bay window, which was very small. I mean, it was hopeless by today's. You wouldn't get anything in it much, but even in those days, it was a bit cramped for the drummer. But it was necessary, otherwise the drums would have leaked on everything else, you see. So,
And was it at that point that time you had a spring reverb? A plate reverb?
plate
sorry.
reverb, which was homemade, yeah.
Oh, all right, I didn't realise
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
homemade.
Blimey, the plate reverbs were far out, it's far too expensive.
Yeah.
This was about 6 foot by 4 foot wooden frame. Probably a bit bigger than that, because I think the plate was 6 foot by 4 foot, which was just a bit of thin sheet metal. And it was tensioned by drilling holes through and putting wire at the corners and tensioning bolts, get it fairly tensioned. And to excite it, I had a loudspeaker which I cut the cone out of, but the centre bit was still held by the sort of cone at the back, so it wasn't scraping on the voice coil. And I got something like the centre of a toilet roll, although it probably wasn't that, but it was a circular piece of cardboard glued to it, and the other end glued to the sheet of metal. So when you fed a signal in from an amplifier, the loudspeaker vibrated and sent the signal into the sheet. And the actual pickup was a gramophone pickup.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You were telling me that before. Yeah.
And it sounded pretty rough, really, but I had a good tape echo which I'd built from an old. Just going back a bit, I bought a second-hand Tandberg recorder, which was quite nice, but it'd seen better days. And eventually, on HP, I got a new Tandberg, I forget the model, TK5, I think it was, which was a lovely machine. So I had that for the main recording, and I used the other one. I had adopted it, put some extra heads on it, playback heads, made it into a tape echo, and mixed the plate with it just to join the bap-bap-bap-baps together a little bit. So, all in all, it gave quite a nice echo.
And the plate, was this the plate that had some birds nesting in it at one point, which Michael Chapman.
Michael Chapman mentioned. Well, he mentioned that, but it wasn't actually in the plate echo. It was in a ventilation shaft that I built in the sash window, which looked up the back garden, and we then built like a lean-to, which became the sound room over this window. And we boarded the top half of the window off, and I cut a hole in it. I took the glass out to cut a hole in it, and and put a fan in it and a ventilator going outside. But it was far too noisy to use. But everybody smoked in those days, and the room was like terrible. We used to have to put it on for 10 minutes to clear the smoke. But a bird built a nest in that, which jammed the fan, I think. So it was funny with Michael Chapman. It got on his recording, and we'd never realised, because we kept hearing the birds tweeting, but because the place wasn't soundproof, you heard noises anyway. You could hear lorries going by and cars and things. But again, because we were close mates, it never seemed to get any bother that I remember with interference from outside.